Hello everyone, Zelarinth here, and now that I've kind of gone over the main fire units that I think are part of the core burn team on this current release, where you have Krolik applying overburn, you have Sharkry taking advantage of that to reduce stability and add in her own damage with her own support attacks, and then you have Qiongjiu being your support attacker. I thought I'd start taking a look at future units you're going to want to take into consideration and look at pulling on if you want to make burn one of your core teams that you want to build in the future. So first we'll go ahead and take a look at the spreadsheet because there's two main units that are going to be coming in the future that I think are going to make up the core team. Okay, so the first unit I want to take a look at is going to be this unit right here, Cusi. She was the third unit to come out on the CN version. We had Tololo that came out first, which we got right off the bat. Then they had Dayan and then Cusi come out. Now we don't know the order that they've changed, that they are going to be doing it with now, but my guess is it's going to be somebody probably from these first five, and so I think she is going to be coming in the near future, hopefully, because she is going to be your core healer for the burn team, and she's not only going to be able to replace Suomi. Now she's not going to be better than Suomi on the healing front or the shielding front because she is primarily just a healer, not a shielder, but she adds a lot of capabilities for the burn team, and so you will definitely replace Suomi with her. And then also she's going to do the work of Krolik and being able to apply overburn, which the entire burn team utilizes for activating a lot of their kit. So when we actually look at her, I'm not going to go completely into depth with everything she's capable of. I'm just going to kind of look at the core things that you want to take note of and why she's going to be extremely useful in your team. So the first thing, she is a healer, so she can heal. She's going to be your replacement for Suomi when you get the full burn team going, not because she's better on the support side on healing. She'll be slightly worse than Suomi because she's, but what she brings in terms of the debuffs outclasses Suomi in every way, because Suomi only provides shields and healing. She does not do anything else for the burn team other than keeping them alive and doing her own personal support attack. So the big thing, what she has, when you look at her passive, is she has this part where she has, now the translations here are coming translated from CN, so they're not going to line up with the actual terms in global. So you'll have to kind of manually compare what these are to what they're named in global. The big one on here is going to be what's called overflowing flame. This is in our game, it's referred to as overburn. So whenever you see overflowing flame, just know that is overburn, and that's the main debuff that all burn units take advantage of. And so this part of her passive, when she has thermal recovery, which she has a lot of ways to trigger it, including at the start of battle, she'll have it. It increases her damage by 20%, increases her healing. But the biggest thing is that overburn will be activated on the enemy on active attack for 2 turns. So when she attacks, she's applying overburn to the enemy. And then you have the second part here is if an ally deals single target damage to an enemy within attack range, she'll activate action support against that enemy first, so she'll take priority over them. So if you have Qiongjiu attack an enemy, she'll actually attack before them and apply overburn, and then she'll apply that overburn, which then can trigger Sharkry's support attack because she wants that overburn to do her own support attack, and she'll reduce stability. And then you can have Qiongjiu come in, and then you can have all 3 of them attacking that one turn, and you're going to get overburn on that enemy. And so that's where you're starting to see that large amount of single target damage being able to be done by all 3 of them in one go. And she can do that. So she has that. And this can trigger 2 times per turn, so it's not as much as Qiongjiu or Sharkry, but this can be increased by another unit we're going to look at here in a second. So that's kind of the main thing with her. She's going to be your main healer as well as applying overburn. She has a bunch of other little things in here. She's very good at cleansing debuffs on your units, as well as some other buffs that she does to the burn team. But the main thing, the thing that you want to know with her is she's going to be your unit to get overburn on the enemies, and so she is going to be an absolute key to your team. She's going to replace Krolik on doing the overburn, but also opening up a slot because she's also replacing Suomi so that you can bring in another support unit. And that support unit is going to be Vector. And Vector came out a decent amount of time later on the CN version. So Vector is all the way down here. And so she came out right after Kukle and Mekti. And so we don't know the new banner. Vector may be able to come sooner than later. We don't know how they're going to want to prioritize who's coming out. But the big thing with Vector is she has a lot of buffs to the burn side of things. And so when we take a look at it, we'll kind of do the same thing with Cinerusi. I'm not going to go through the entire kit here, but I'm going to kind of point out the main thing that I've seen in it that's going to make her really huge on this team, which is it's another part of her passive here. And that is going to be at the start of, and so in her passive, she's immune to burn type things before dealing burn damage. If they have, so this is overburn. So if they have overburn, she applies overheat combustion on the target for 2 turns. So those, you're going to have Cinerusi putting that overburn. So she's going to be applying this to pretty much every enemy. And what that is when gaining this effect at the end of action, if that unit and all friendly units with that 1 tile radius, so it's basically a mini AoE burn that harms all the enemies around them. So that's just a nice little buff to doing damage around them. But the biggest thing of the passive is right here at the start of battle, increases the attack count of support attacks that deal burn damage by 1. And so that is going to be absolutely massive, especially when you think of, you have Qiongjiu, she does physical damage with hers, but when you get her third dupe, it converts her physical damage of it to a burn damage. And so this is going to make it where she can do another support action within a single turn. So she can do 3, so this brings it up to 4. And then you have your alt that can bring it up by 1, so that can bring it up by 5. And so then you have Sharkry that has it. I believe Sharkry it is 2, so this would bring it up to 3 because hers is a burn type damage. And so that one's just making it where you can do a lot more support action. So you're really going to be able to rack up all these hits on a boss. And that's why you're kind of seeing how Qiongjiu and them are the best single target damage dealers, because when every single one of them attack, pretty much every single one of them is also going to do their own support action with each other. So Cinerusi will do her support action, then you'll have Vector come in, then you have Sharky come in, and then Qiongjiu will just do her follow-up attack right after it. And she's making sure that they all have extra support actions that they can do within that turn by increasing it by 1. And then you have, if you decide to go for dupes on Vector, it also it increases it by 2, I believe here. Yeah, increases the attack count of support attacks that deal burn damage by 2 instead of 1. So now you can bring it up even more. So you can have it where Qiongjiu can do 6 of them in a single turn. And there are other ways to get support actions other than just attacking themselves, because some of these units have something like Overwatch where they'll counterattack if the enemy attacks them. And that's how you can actually get more than 4 in a single turn. And so that's kind of where you're seeing her coming in. She has a lot of other buffs that she adds into the team. You have Flame Assault 2, which increases attack, increases crit damage to enemies, all these other little buffs that she brings. And so we kind of look at the pros and cons. So first we can go back to Cinerusi here. She is extremely good healing and all that. The biggest negative that I've seen on her here is, she's core to the burn team. Cinerusi is a replacement to Suomi on the burn team and on the burn team only. Suomi is going to be your healer / tank for pretty much every other team. So you have to be dedicated to the burn team if you want to pick her up, because you're going to want to take Suomi with pretty much any other team over her, because all of her focus is for the burn units. And so Vector is kind of the same thing. If you thought triggering 4 support attacks from Qiongjiu is hard, try doing 5 or even 6. Like I said, with her vertebrae 1 here, it makes it where she can now have 6. And so you have to plan around getting 6 to trigger, which is going to be extremely hard because you only can do so. Your main 4 units are going to be Vector, Cinerusi, Qiongjiu, and Sharkry. Now you can maybe like Sharkry's gonna be your stability damage. Maybe we'll get a few. She's an SR, so we may get a future unit that replaces her. That's an SSR that can make it easier to trigger it. Something that has like Overwatch, where they react based on enemy actions versus ally actions. And so, yeah, she's able to do 6, but it is going to be hard to trigger them because you don't have someone like, currently I have Tololo, who can sometimes attack twice in a turn, which means she can trigger Qiongjiu twice. But these 4 all, I don't believe any of them have extra command on them or a way to do 2 attacks in a single turn. So it will be hard to trigger all 6. But she will be capable of that. And I'm almost guaranteeing you will have a unit in the future that's going to make that a little bit easier, just making her damage go through the roof. And the biggest thing is being damage focused. She doesn't have that much utilities like tanking, healing, or dispelling at all. But that's not a negative on Vector because she's just a straight support unit. I mean, that's what Senarusi's there. Senarusi's your healer, and she has all those other support actions that you need, healing and debuffing. So if you're going full burn, to me, these are absolutely mandatory to pick up. And the way I could see them doing the banner schedule to try and incentivize people to pull is if they do Senarusi, I would almost assume either if they do a dual banner, to me, if they really wanted to try and get people to spend money, they would do Senarusi and Vector together. Either that, or they would do her and then Vector immediately after. So you'll want to kind of start saving up if you're wanting to go this direction with that heavy burn team. And so that is the core burn team that you're going to want to think of getting for the future. So you're going to have Qiongjiu, Sharkri, Senarusi, and Vector. So those four will be able to do insane damage, and they should be able to melt bosses like it's nothing, especially if they're weak to burn. And it's kind of what makes Qiongjiu the highest single target damage of the game. Because with Vector, she can get up to 6 support actions. It's just actually being able to pull off getting those 6 support actions, which may mean you replace Sharkri with somebody else that can trigger of their own physical attacks multiple times within a turn to trigger Qiongjiu's support actions. So there will be some flexibility in there. So the main ones are Qiongjiu, Senarusi, and Vector, and then Sharkri would be kind of your main but replaceable unit depending on the needs. It's the team I'm planning on saving up for, making sure that I can get. I may actually be looking at getting dupes and the weapons on these units depending on the timing of when they come out, because I do know I'm like a lot of other people. The other big unit that I want to highly invest in the future, which I think pretty much all the other content creators have stated, is going to be Cusi, and I do want to try and get that version, the 3 dupe of her as well as her weapon. But I think this is going to be the easier team to get together, especially for free to play, because getting 3 dupes of Cusi for a free to play means you're pretty much skipping everything after the start just so you have enough pulls to get the 3 dupes. So if you're looking to have pretty much the best core team on single target damage, this is a team you want to save for. And then Cusi, maybe you just get the 1 copy of her because she's still amazing not by herself. Rather than trying to save up to get the 3 dupe version of her, which is insane, but it is a lot for 1 unit. But yeah, that pretty much covers it. I'm going to start looking at some other core teams like the burn team with the other elements like ice, electric, corrosion, which I've already mentioned corrosion with Cusi, and kind of go over who you want to plan around if you're going in those other elemental directions. But yeah, if you like my content, if you could like, comment, subscribe, it really helps. And thanks for watching.